Elena Vasquez walked through the marble halls of the Galactic Council building. Her shoes made soft clicking sounds on the polished floor. She had been Earth's ambassador for 15 years now. Every day was the same routine. Talk about trade agreements. Discuss peace treaties. Solve problems without violence. The other aliens liked her. They thought humans were useful but weak. Elena knew this. She had heard their private conversations many times. The translation devices picked up everything. The humans are so peaceful, Counselor Dex would say to his Krex friends. They cry when someone gets hurt. They send medical supplies instead of weapons. Very strange creatures. The Zephyrians laughed when humans offered to help solve their trade disputes. Let the soft-skinned ones handle the paperwork, they would say. They are good at boring tasks. Elena smiled and nodded at these comments. She had been trained to smile and nod. All human ambassadors had this training. It was very important to seem harmless. Very important to seem weak. The truth was different. Elena knew the truth. She had clearance level Omega. Only 50 humans in the entire galaxy had this clearance level. They knew what Project Prometheus really was. The galaxy thought human colonies were peaceful farms and mining operations. They were wrong. Under every farm was a weapons factory. Under every mine was a shipyard. The humans had been building an army for 300 years. Elena reached the main council chamber. The ceiling was very high. Light came down from crystals that floated in the air. Representatives from 12 different species sat in a circle. Each species had their own special chair designed for their body type. The Krex looked like giant lizards with 4 arms. They controlled the largest military in known space. Their ships were black and covered in weapons. Everyone feared them. The ethereals were tall and thin. They could see bits of the future. Their skin was almost transparent. They spoke in whispers that somehow everyone could hear. The Zephyrians looked like large birds. They had beaks instead of mouths and wings instead of arms. They controlled most trade routes between systems. Elena took her seat. The human chair was simple compared to the others. Just a normal chair made of earthwood. This was another way to seem harmless. Other species had chairs made of rare metals or energy fields. Humans sat on simple wood. Today we discuss the Outer Rim situation, announced Counselor Dex. His voice was deep and rough. More ships have gone missing near the edge of our galaxy. Elena had read the reports. 23 vessels had disappeared in the past month. No distress calls. No wreckage found. No survivors. Something was hunting ships at the edge of known space. The ethereals sensed danger approaching, whispered Ethereal Prime. Zin, something dark comes from the void between galaxies. The other counselors shifted in their chairs. The ethereals were usually right about these things. Their future sight had saved the galaxy many times before. We should send more patrol ships, suggested Zephyrian. Trade Lord Krix. My people have lost 3 cargo vessels this month. The Krex Empire will handle this, Dex declared. We have the strongest fleet. We will destroy whatever threatens our space. Elena listened quietly. This was her role. Listen and offer peaceful solutions. She waited for the right moment to speak. Perhaps we should try to communicate with these unknown entities first, she said. Violence should be our last option. Earth can provide communication specialists and translation equipment. The other counselors nodded approvingly. This was exactly what they expected humans to say. Always trying to talk instead of fight. Always choosing the peaceful path. What they did not know was that Elena had already sent coded messages to Earth Command. The Terra Defense Force was already moving ships into position. 50 battle groups had been deployed to the Outer Rim. They were hidden in asteroid fields and nebulas. Invisible to scanners, Waiting. The council session continued for 3 hours. Elena offered humanitarian aid packages. She suggested refugee camps for displaced populations. She proposed diplomatic missions to contact the unknown attackers. All of this was carefully planned. Earth psychologists had studied alien behavior for centuries. They knew exactly what to say to seem weak and helpful. The other species expected humans to offer aid and seek peaceful solutions. Elena gave them exactly what they expected. After the session ended, Elena returned to her office. It was small and simple. No fancy technology or expensive decorations. Just a desk, some chairs, and a picture of Earth hanging on the wall. She activated her secure communication device. The screen showed Admiral Chun's face. Admiral Chun commanded the Terra Defense Force. She was responsible for humanity's real military. How did the Council react to the disappearances? Admiral Chun asked. As expected, Elena replied. Dex wants to send Krek's warships. The others are worried, but willing to let the Kreks handle it. They still see us as peaceful mediators. Good. Our scouts have identified the attackers. They call themselves Andromedans. They come from another galaxy. Their technology is advanced. They can phase through normal matter. Their weapons can destroy entire planets. Elena felt her stomach tighten. Planet-destroying weapons were serious business. Do we know their intentions? They seem to be testing our defenses, probing for weakness. They have not attacked major colonies yet. Only ships and small outposts. This was troubling news. Humanity had worked very hard to build their peaceful reputation. They had avoided wars for 3 centuries. They had been careful to never show their true military strength. Admiral, if these Andromedans attack civilian targets... I know, Admiral Chun said. Our orders are clear. As long as they only attack military targets or empty space, we maintain the peaceful facade. But if they harm human civilians... Elena nodded. She knew the standing orders. Project Prometheus had very specific rules. Humanity would tolerate attacks on their military. They would accept damage to their infrastructure. But harm to human civilians was a red line that could never be crossed. Keep monitoring the situation, Elena said. I will continue playing the peaceful ambassador. How many ships do we have in position? Currently? About 3,000 vessels are hidden near the outer rim. We can have 50,000 more there within a week if needed. The number was staggering. The entire Krek's fleet only had about 15,000 ships. Elena wondered what the other species would think if they knew humans had 50,000 warships hidden in deep space. The communication ended. Elena looked out her window at the beautiful gardens below. Alien families walked among the flowers. Children from different species played together. It was a peaceful scene. Elena hoped it would stay peaceful. She hoped the Andromedans would be reasonable. She hoped humanity would never have to show the galaxy what they were really capable of. But she was a realist. In her experience, hope was not enough. Preparation was what mattered. And humanity had been preparing for this day for a very long time. Elena was reviewing trade proposals when her secure communicator started flashing red. She had never seen it flash red before. Red meant emergency. Red meant something terrible had happened. She activated the device with shaking hands. Admiral Chun's face appeared on the screen. Elena had known the Admiral for many years. She had never seen her look so angry. Elena, we just lost New Geneva, Admiral Chun said. Her voice was flat and cold. Elena felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. New Geneva was a civilian colony. 50 million humans lived there. Families with children. Scientists and teachers and farmers. How bad? Elena asked. Complete planetary destruction. No survivors. The Andromedans use some kind of matter disintegrator weapon. The planet is just gone. Nothing left but space dust. Elena stared at the screen. 50 million people. Gone in minutes. She thought about the children she had seen playing in the park just yesterday. Human children laughing and running in the sunshine. "Admiral, confirm the target status," Elena said. She needed to be sure. The rules were very clear. Confirm civilian target. No military installations. No strategic value. Pure civilian population. They killed our children, Elena. Elena closed her eyes. When she opened them again, something had changed. The careful diplomatic mask she had worn for 15 years was gone. In its place was something cold and angry and very dangerous. "Admiral, you have authorization to implement Protocol 7. Confirmed. Protocol 7 is active. All units are moving to combat readiness." Elena ended the communication. She sat quietly for a moment. Outside her window, alien children were still playing in the garden. Soon their parents would learn what humanity was really capable of. Soon the galaxy would understand the price of spilling human blood. She walked to the council chamber. The afternoon session had already started. The other ambassadors were discussing minor trade disputes. They looked up when she entered. Something in her face made them stop talking. "Honored councilors," Elena said, "I have an announcement to make." Councilor Vex leaned forward in his chair. "Yes, Ambassador Vasquez? Do humans have more peaceful solutions to offer?" "No," Elena said. "We do not." She touched her communication device. Instantly, every human representative in the galaxy received the same message. From Nexus Prime to the Outer Rim colonies, every human diplomat stood up at exactly the same moment. Elena spoke clearly and calmly. "Effective immediately, humanity withdraws from the Universal Peace Accords. We are recalling all humanitarian missions. All peacekeeping forces are returning to human space. All trade agreements are suspended." The council chamber erupted in confused voices. Vex slammed his fist on his chair arm. "What is the meaning of this? You cannot simply leave the Accords." "We just did," Elena said. "The Andromedans attacked New Geneva 3 hours ago. 50 million human civilians are dead. Since the Galactic Council failed to protect human lives, we will protect ourselves." Ethereal Prime Zen whispered something urgent to her assistants. Her future sight was showing her things that frightened her. "Ambassador, I sense great darkness ahead. Your people are making a terrible mistake." Elena looked directly at the Ethereal. The only mistake was trusting others to keep our children safe. She turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, the counselors were arguing loudly. They did not understand yet. They still thought humans were weak. Elena reached her office and began sending coded messages. Across the galaxy, human assets received their orders. The cargo ships that carried food and medicine suddenly changed course. They were heading home. The research stations that studied alien cultures went dark. The refugee camps run by human volunteers were abandoned. Most importantly, the hidden weapons factories went active on Kepler 442. The massive wheat farms that fed 3 star systems suddenly opened underground hangars. Warships rose from the soil like metal flowers blooming in reverse. The farmers who had tended crops for decades removed their coveralls to reveal military uniforms underneath. The asteroid mining operation in the Vega system activated its hidden shipyards. For 200 years, they had been mining rare metals. But they had also been building the largest fleet in galactic history. Ships that had been invisible to scanners suddenly powered up their engines. Admiral Chun stood on the bridge of her flagship. The U.S. Prometheus was hidden inside a nebula near the outer rim. Around her, 1,000 other ships materialized from stealth mode. All units, this is Admiral Chun. You have your orders. Operation Righteous Fury is now active. We are no longer peacekeepers. We are no longer diplomats. We are the Terra Defense Force, and someone just declared war on humanity. Back on Nexus Prime, Counselor Dex was receiving reports from his intelligence officers. What they told him made his blood run cold. Sir, long-range sensors are detecting massive fleet movements in human space. Ships are appearing on scanners that were never there before. How many ships? Dex demanded. Current estimate is over 10,000 vessels, sir. And more are appearing every hour. Dex felt his legs go weak. The entire Krex military had 15,000 ships. And these humans have been hiding 10,000 warships for decades without anyone knowing. What class of vessels are we detecting? Unknown, sir. The technology signatures do not match anything in our databases. These ships are using power sources we have never seen before. In the Zephyrian trade districts, cargo ships that had carried grain and manufactured goods for centuries suddenly revealed their true nature. Weapon ports opened along their hulls. Civilian crew members activated military systems they had been trained to use since childhood. The galaxy was learning that every human merchant was also a soldier. Every human scientist was also an engineer of war. Every human diplomat was also a spy who had been gathering intelligence for 300 years. Alina received a priority message from Earth Command. President Morrison's face appeared on her screen. He looked tired but determined. Elena, I want you to deliver one final message to the Galactic Council. What should I tell them, sir? Tell them the truth. Tell them what we really are. Elena returned to the council chamber one last time. The aliens were in heated discussion about humanity's withdrawal from the peace accords. They stopped talking when they saw her. I have a final message from Earth, Elena announced. For 300 years, we chose peace. We chose to be your mediators, your healers, your friends. We chose to seem weak because we preferred not to fight. That choice has been revoked. She paused and looked at each council member in turn. You always wondered why humans were so good at logistics and resource management. Why our medical research was so advanced. Why our communication networks were so efficient. Now you will understand. Every human colony is a fortress. Every human cargo ship is a warship. Every human research station is an intelligence outpost. We have been preparing for war while pretending to seek peace. And now that war has found us, Counselor Dex stood up from his chair. His voice shook with fear and anger. You deceived us. You lied about your capabilities. Elena smiled for the first time that day. It was not a pleasant smile. We never lied, Counselor. We simply chose not to show you everything we were capable of. There is a difference between being unable to fight and choosing not to fight. She turned to leave, then stopped at the door. Oh, and Counselor Dex? Your intelligence reports are wrong. We do not have 10,000 ships. We have 50,000. The rest are simply better at hiding. Elena left the chamber and walked to her private shuttle. Behind her, she could hear the counselors shouting in panic. They were finally beginning to understand what they had always been sitting next to Dot as her shuttle launched toward human space. Elena looked back at the Galactic Council building one last time. When she returned, things would be very different. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon had never been their technology, Dot. It had been their patience. The emergency session of the Galactic Council started at dawn. For the first time in 3 centuries, the human seats were empty. The silence where Elena should have been sitting felt like a missing tooth. Counselor Dex paced back and forth in front of the main display screen. His forearms gestured wildly as he spoke. We have a crisis. The humans have gone insane. They think they can threaten the entire galaxy, because one of their colonies was attacked. Trade Lord Crix fluffed his feathers nervously. My cargo fleets are reporting strange encounters. Human ships that were carrying grain yesterday are now pointing weapons at us. This makes no business sense. Ethereal Prime Zin sat very still. Her large eyes were closed. She was looking into possible futures. What she saw made her shiver. The darkness grows stronger. I see fire and metal and screaming across the stars. Enough of your cryptic warnings, Dex snapped. We need facts, not riddles. Admiral Brex, Dex's military commander, entered the chamber carrying a data tablet. His scales had turned pale blue, which meant he was frightened. Sir, I have the scout reports from human space. Tell us what you found, Dex ordered. Brex's voice shook as he read from his tablet. Every human agricultural world has revealed hidden military installations. The wheat farms on Kepler 442 have produced over 3,000 warships in the past 24 hours. They are coming out of underground hangars that our scanners never detected. The council members exchanged worried glances. 3,000 ships from a single farm world. How many farm worlds did humanity have? What about their mining operations? Asked Crix. The asteroid belt in the Vega system is actually a massive shipyard. Our estimates suggest it can build ships faster than our entire industrial complex. They have been constructing warships for over 2 centuries while pretending to mine rocks. Dex slumped into his chair. How many ships total? The current estimates are approaching 100,000 vessels, sir. And these numbers keep growing as more installations come online. The chamber fell silent. 100,000 ships. The combined fleets of all council species totaled maybe 30,000 vessels. Humanity had been building an armada 3 times larger than the rest of the galaxy combined. What about their technology? Zin whispered. What weapons do they carry? Admiral Brex looked at his tablet again. This is where things become truly concerning. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, head of something called Project Prometheus, has begun broadcasting technical specifications on all known frequencies. Why would they reveal their weapons to us? Dex asked. I believe it is psychological warfare, sir. They want us to know what they are capable of. A holographic display activated in the center of the chamber. Dr. Tanaka's face appeared. She looked like a pleasant older woman, the kind of person who might teach children or tend a garden. Her voice was calm and friendly. Greetings, Galactic Council. My name is Dr. Yuki Tanaka. For the past 60 years, I have been researching ways to protect human colonies from alien threats. I thought you might like to know what we have developed. The display showed technical diagrams. The aliens studied them with growing horror. These are our biological weapons, Dr. Tanaka explained cheerfully. We have studied the genetic structure of every known alien species. We can create pathogens that target specific DNA sequences. For example, we have developed 17 different viruses that only affect Crex's physiology. They would be completely harmless to humans, but fatal to anyone with Crex's genetics. Dex's scales turned white with fear. Impossible. Our biological security is perfect. Dr. Tanaka smiled. We tested these weapons 3 years ago. Do you remember the food poisoning outbreak in the Crex Military Academy? That was actually a test run using a non-lethal variant. We wanted to see if our delivery systems worked. They did. The council members looked at each other in growing panic. The humans have been testing weapons on them for years without anyone knowing. Of course, biological weapons are just one option, Dr. Tanaka continued. We have also developed nanotechnology that can disassemble matter at the molecular level. Gravity weapons that can create artificial black holes. And my personal favorite, quantum torpedoes that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The technical specifications filled the display. Each weapon system was more terrifying than the last. The aliens realized they were looking at technology that was centuries ahead of their own capabilities. You might wonder how we developed such advanced technology while maintaining our peaceful reputation, Dr. Tanaka said. The answer is simple. Every cultural exchange program was actually intelligence gathering. Every medical mission collected genetic samples. Every diplomatic meeting recorded alien neural patterns. Trade Lord Crix made a choking sound. The medical supplies. They were always so eager to provide medical help. Indeed, Dr. Tanaka nodded. We needed to understand alien biology to develop proper countermeasures. Your species were very generous in providing us with detailed biological information. We appreciate your cooperation. The display showed more weapon systems. Planet cracker missiles that could split worlds in half. Stellar manipulation devices that could make stars go nova. Fleet coordination systems that allowed human ships to move as a single organism. But our greatest achievement, Dr. Tanaka said proudly, is our predictive combat system. We have been analyzing alien behavior patterns for 3 centuries. We can predict fleet movements with 97% accuracy. We know where your ships will be before your commanders give the orders. Admiral Brex dropped his tablet. It clattered on the floor. Sir, this explains how they always seem to know about our secret operations. They were not guessing. They were calculating. The broadcast continued for 2 hours. Dr. Tanaka explained weapon after weapon, each one designed to counter specific alien military tactics. The humans had studied every known species and developed perfect countermeasures for their strengths while exploiting their weaknesses. When the broadcast ended, the council chamber was completely silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. Humanity had turned the entire galaxy into their laboratory. 300 years of peaceful cooperation had been 300 years of preparation for war. There is more, Admiral Brex said quietly. Our intelligence networks are reporting massive fleet movements throughout human space. They are not moving to defend their colonies. They are moving toward Andromedan territory. How many ships? Dex asked weakly. Current estimates suggest over 50,000 vessels are heading to the outer rim. But sir, they are not going there alone. Crix looked up sharply. What do you mean? The humans are broadcasting an open invitation. Any species that has lost ships or colonies to Andromedan attacks can join their expeditionary force. They are offering to share targeting data and provide tactical support. Ethereal Prime Zin suddenly opened her eyes wide. I see it now. The vision becomes clear. The humans are not just seeking revenge. They are establishing dominance. They will destroy the Andromedans so completely that no species will ever dare attack human civilians again. That is impossible, Dex protested. The Andromedans are too advanced. Their phase technology makes them nearly invulnerable. Admiral Brex checked his tablet again. Sir, I have a report from our deep space monitoring station. The humans just engaged an Andromedan scouting fleet near the ruins of New Geneva. What was the result? Complete Andromedan destruction in 17 minutes. No human losses reported. They used some kind of multi-phase weaponry that bypassed Andromedan shielding entirely. The chamber fell silent again. 17 minutes. The Andromedans had been terrorizing the galaxy for months. No one had been able to even damage their ships. The humans had destroyed an entire fleet in less time than it took to eat lunch. Sir, Admiral Brex continued, to carry a message back to the Andromedan Empire. Our translation computers intercepted the transmission. It was very simple. The message said, "You killed our children. Now we are coming for yours." Dex stood up slowly. His legs shook with fear. How long until the human fleet reaches Andromedan space? Based on their current speed, approximately 6 weeks, sir. And how long would it take our fastest ships to reach human space? About the same, sir. Dex looked around the chamber at the other council members. They all had the same expression of terrified understanding. The galaxy had thought humans were weak and peaceful. They had been wrong. Catastrophically wrong. The humans were not weak. They were patient. They had spent 3 centuries learning everything about alien species while revealing nothing about themselves. They had built the largest military force in galactic history while pretending to be farmers and merchants. And now someone had made the mistake of killing their children. What do we do? Crix asked quietly. Ethereal Prime Zin stood up from her chair. Her voice was filled with certainty about the future she could see. We pray that the humans remember we were their friends. Because the galaxy is about to learn what happens when you make humanity choose war over peace. Outside the chamber windows, alien families walked through the gardens. Children played games and laughed in the sunshine. Soon their parents would understand that the friendly human, neighbors they had known for centuries, were actually the most dangerous predators in the known universe. And those predators were no longer choosing to be peaceful. The humans deliberately allowed one Andromedan ship to escape. Why would they do that? Admiral Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the U.S. Prometheus. Around her, holographic displays showed the positions of 50,000 human warships spread across 3 light-years of space. This was the largest military fleet in galactic history, and it was moving toward one purpose: total war. Admiral, we have reached the coordinates of the former New Geneva colony, reported Commander Torres from the navigation station. Chum looked at the main display. Where a beautiful world had once existed, there was now only empty space and floating debris. 50 million human lives had been snuffed out in minutes. Families, children, scientists, artists, all gone. Begin Phase 1, Chun ordered. Deploy the sensor nets. Thousands of human ships launched small probe devices. The probes spread throughout the system, creating an invisible web of sensors. If an Andromedan ship tried to phase into normal space anywhere in the system, the humans would know immediately. Admiral, called Lieutenant Kim from the communication station. We are receiving transmissions from allied fleets. The hegemony of Tau Ceti has sent 40 ships. The Rigel Confederacy has contributed 60 vessels. Even some Krex commanders have joined us. Chun nodded. The Andromedans had made enemies across the galaxy. Many species wanted revenge, but they had been too afraid to act alone. Now they were hiding behind human military strength, hoping to strike back at their tormentors. Keep them in reserve positions, Chun ordered. This is a human operation. The truth was that Chun did not trust alien ships in combat. Human vessels were designed to work together with perfect coordination. Alien ships would only get in the way. But letting them watch would send a message to the galaxy about human capabilities. Admiral, we have contact, announced the sensor operator. Andromedan fleet emerging from phase space. 12 vessels, heavy configuration. Chun smiled grimly. Right on schedule. Begin recording everything. I want the entire galaxy to see this. The Andromedans materialized out of nothing like ghosts becoming solid. Their ships were strange and beautiful, made of materials that seemed to bend light around them. For months, they had terrorized the galaxy with these vessels. No weapon had been able to touch them because they could phase in and out of normal space and will. The Andromedan commander sent a transmission. The translation came through the communication system in a cold, mechanical voice. Primitive creatures, you dare to challenge the Andromedan Empire? We destroyed your pathetic colony as a warning. Leave now or share its fate. Chun activated the fleet-wide communication channel. Every human ship could hear her voice. All units, you have seen what these beings did to our children. Today we teach the galaxy that human blood has a price. Engage at will. What happened next changed galactic warfare forever. The human ships moved like a single organism. They had been practicing coordinated fleet maneuvers for centuries. Every captain knew exactly where every other ship would be at any given moment. The Andromedans faced not 50,000 individual vessels, but one massive military machine. The Andromedans tried to use their phase technology to escape. Their ships began shifting out of normal space, becoming transparent and untouchable. This tactic had saved them from every other species in the galaxy, but it did not save them from humanity. The human weapons were designed specifically to target phased matter. Quantum torpedoes that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Energy beams that followed targets through phase shifts. Gravity mines that affected all possible phases of existence. The first Andromedan ship died in seconds. Its elegant hull cracked and split as human weapons tore through its defenses. The second ship tried to run, but human ships were already waiting where it would emerge from phase space. One by one, the Andromedan vessels were destroyed. Their crews had no experience fighting an enemy that could predict their movements and counter their technology. The humans had studied Andromedan tactics for months. Every possible escape route was blocked. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it ended, 11 Andromedan ships were nothing but debris floating in space. One ship remained intact, exactly as Admiral Chun had planned. "Admiral," reported the weapons officer, "target is disabled but not destroyed." "Excellent. Open a channel to the surviving ship." The face of an Andromedan appeared on the main screen. The creature looked like a tall, thin humanoid with silver skin and large black eyes. It was clearly in pain and afraid. "You will carry a message back to your empire," Chun said. "Tell your leaders that humanity remembers our dead. Tell them that we are coming to their home system. Tell them that we will not stop until every Andromedan who participated in the destruction of New Geneva has faced justice." "You cannot reach our home system," the Andromedan said. "It is protected by the Imperial fleet. Millions of ships guard our core worlds." Chun's smile was cold and terrible. "Millions of ships. How interesting. We will need to bring more ammunition." She gestured to her communications officer. "Release the survivor. Make sure they have enough fuel to reach Andromedan space." The damaged Andromedan ship limped away into phase space. Behind it, the human fleet began moving deeper into unknown territory, following the path toward the Andromedan Empire. Back on Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council watched recordings of the battle in stunned silence. The humans had destroyed in 17 minutes what the entire galaxy had been unable to even damage. "How is this possible?" Counselor Thex whispered. "The Andromedans were supposed to be invincible." Admiral Brex studied the tactical recordings. "Sir, the humans knew exactly where each Andromedan ship would emerge from phase space. They had ships waiting in position before the Andromedans even began their phase shifts. That level of prediction should be impossible. Unless," said Ethereal Prime Zin, "they have been studying Andromedan behavior patterns for much longer than we realized." The truth was becoming clear. The humans had known about the Andromedans before the rest of the galaxy did. They had been tracking them, studying them, learning their capabilities. The attack on New Geneva had not surprised humanity. It had been the trigger they were waiting for. Trade Lord Crix shifted nervously on his perch. What happens now? Will the humans be satisfied with one victory? The answer came in the form of a broadcast from Admiral Chun. Her image appeared on communication systems across the galaxy. "Citizens of the galaxy," she said. "Today, humanity achieved justice for the innocent lives lost at New Geneva. But our mission is not complete. The Andromedan Empire believes they can terrorize civilian populations without consequences. We will prove them wrong. The display showed star charts. Red arrows indicated the path human fleets would take to reach Andromedan territory. Any species that has suffered losses to Andromedan attacks is welcome to join our expedition. We will provide coordinates and tactical support. Together, we will teach the Andromedans that there are consequences for targeting non-combatants. More alien fleets began moving toward human rally points. The Centauri Alliance contributed their entire border patrol. The free colonies of Vega sent every ship they could spare. Even some ethereal vessels joined the growing armada. But everyone understood that this was humanity's war. The other species were just observers, watching as the galaxy's most peaceful race transformed into its most terrifying military force. Deep in Andromedan space, the surviving ship from the New Geneva battle reached its home system. The Andromedan High Command listened to the report with growing alarm. "Impossible," declared Admiral Xeris of the Imperial Fleet. "No species has weapons that can target phased matter." "The humans do," insisted the survivor. "They destroyed our entire fleet. They knew exactly where we would be at every moment. It was as if they could read our minds." Admiral Xeris studied the tactical data. The human attack patterns were unlike anything in their databases. The coordination between ships was perfect. The weapons technology was centuries ahead of anything they had encountered. "How many ships are approaching our territory?" "Initial reports suggest over 100,000 vessels, Admiral. And more fleets are joining them every day." For the first time in their species' history, the Andromedans felt fear. They had dominated their home galaxy through superior technology and ruthless tactics. They had come to this galaxy expecting easy conquests. Instead, they had awakened something that had been sleeping for 3 centuries. Something that had spent those centuries learning about every possible enemy and preparing for every possible war. The message the human Admiral had sent was spreading through Andromedan space. Every military commander, every government leader, every civilian population center heard the same words. "You killed our children. Now we're coming for yours." The Andromedan Empire began preparing for the largest military engagement in their history. They recalled fleets from across their territory. They activated defense platforms around their core worlds. They prepared weapons that had not been used in 1,000 years. None of it would be enough. The humans were coming, and they were bringing 6 centuries of suppressed military innovation with them. The galaxy was about to witness the difference between a species that chose peace and a species that was forced into war. The Andromedans were about to learn that some sleeping giants should never be awakened. 6 months later, Elena Vasquez walked through the marble halls of the Galactic Council building again. Her shoes made the same soft clicking sounds on the polished floor. But everything else had changed. The alien security guards watched her with new expressions. No longer the casual indifference they had shown before. Now there was respect mixed with fear. They had seen the recordings of what humanity could do when anger.Elena reached the council chamber. The same floating crystals provided light from the high ceiling. The same circle of chairs waited for their occupants. But the atmosphere was completely different. Councillo, or Dex sat very straight in his chair. His forearms were folded carefully in his lap. When Elena entered, he stood up immediately. All the other council members followed his example. "Ambassador Vasquez," Dex said formally, "we welcome humanity back to the Galactic Council." Elena took her seat. The simple wooden chair looked exactly the same, but now everyone understood what it represented. Not weakness, but the restraint of a species that chose diplomacy over domination. "Thank you, Councilor Dex," Elena replied calmly. "Humanity is pleased to resume our participation in galactic governance." The words were polite and diplomatic, but underneath them was a new understanding. Humanity was not asking permission to return. They were informing the galaxy of their decision. Trade Lord Crix cleared his throat nervously. Ambassador, we are all curious about the status of the Andromedan situation. Elena smiled. It was a gentle, peaceful smile. But every alien in the room remembered the last time they had seen her angry. The Andromedan Empire no longer exists, she said simply. Their military has been eliminated. Their government has surrendered unconditionally. Their core worlds are under human administration for the foreseeable future. The council members exchanged glances. They had heard rumors, but this was the first official confirmation. An entire galactic empire destroyed in 6 months. The Andromedans had controlled hundreds of star systems. Their fleet had numbered in the millions of ships. All gone. What will happen to the Andromedan population? Asked Ethereal Primes in. Her voice was very quiet. They will be relocated to designated worlds under human supervision, Elena explained. Our psychologists are working with their survivors to understand why their culture became so aggressive. We hope to rehabilitate them over the next few generations. Rehabilitation. The word sent chills through the assembled aliens. The humans were not just defeating their enemies. They were remaking them in humanity's image. The Andromedan home system has been quarantined, Elena continued. We have established monitoring stations to prevent anyone from developing similar planet-destroying weapons. The technology they used against New Geneva has been completely eliminated. Councilor Dex shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Ambassador, there are concerns about humanity's expanding military presence. Many species are worried about your intentions. Elena's expression remained friendly and diplomatic. I understand these concerns, Counselor, which is why humanity is prepared to renew our commitment to the Universal Peace Accords. With some modest amendments. She touched her communication device. A holographic document appeared above the council table. The aliens read through it with growing unease. The amendments are quite simple, Elena explained. Humanity will continue to serve as mediators in galactic disputes. We will provide humanitarian aid to species in need. We will maintain peacekeeping forces to protect trade routes and civilian populations. This sounded like the old human role. But the next section made their new position clear. However, Elena continued, any species that commits acts of genocide against human civilians will face terminal sanctions. This includes the complete elimination of their military capacity and the occupation of their territory until rehabilitation is complete. Terminal sanctions? Dex asked weakly. The Andromedan treatment, Elena said cheerfully. We found it quite effective. Complete military defeat followed by cultural restructuring. Very thorough. Very permanent. The chamber fell silent. The aliens were beginning to understand their new reality. Humanity was offering the same services as before. Mediation, aid, peacekeeping. But now everyone knew the price of harming human civilians. Ambassador, Trade Lord Crix said carefully, why is humanity returning to diplomatic solutions? Your military demonstrated overwhelming superiority. You could simply rule the galaxy by force. Elena looked genuinely puzzled by the question. Why would we want to rule the galaxy, Trade Lord? We have our own worlds to manage. Our own people to care for. Ruling others would be a waste of our time and resources. But surely, Dex pressed, with such military power, you must have ambitions for conquest? Counselor, Elena replied patiently, you still do not understand. Power is not about what you can take. Power is about what you choose not to take. Humanity has always preferred cooperation to domination. She gestured to the document floating above the table. We are offering the same relationship we always had. Partnership, not subjugation. Trade, not tribute. The only difference is that now everyone understands the consequences of betraying that partnership. Ethereal Prime Zin leaned forward. I must ask directly, Ambassador. Are we your allies or your subjects? That depends entirely on you, Elena answered. Species that honor their agreements with humanity and treat our civilians with respect are allies. They enjoy all the benefits of human technology, trade, and protection. And species that do not honor these agreements? Elena's smile never wavered. Ask the Andromedans. Oh, wait, you cannot. They no longer exist as a political entity. The message was clear. Cooperation would be rewarded. Betrayal would result in complete destruction. The galaxy now had a very simple choice to make. There is one more item to discuss, Elena said. She touched her device again. New images appeared above the table. During our campaign against the Andromedans, we discovered they were not the only aggressive species from outside our galaxy. Long-range sensors have detected at least 3 other extragalactic empires that may pose threats in the future. The aliens looked at the star charts with growing alarm. If the Andromedans had been just the first wave of invaders, what would happen when the others arrived? Do not worry, Elena said reassuringly. Humanity is prepared to handle these potential threats. We are establishing deep space monitoring stations along the galactic rim. If any hostile forces attempt to enter our space, they will receive the same treatment as the Andromedans. She paused and looked around the table. Of course, maintaining these defenses is expensive. We will need increased cooperation from all Council species. Trade agreements, resource sharing, technological exchange. The usual arrangements. The aliens understood. Humanity was not demanding tribute or taxes. They were offering protection in exchange for voluntary cooperation. But everyone knew what would happen to species that chose not to cooperate. I believe this arrangement will benefit everyone, Elena concluded. Humanity provides security and stability. Council species provide resources and expertise. Together, we can ensure that the galaxy remains peaceful and prosperous. Councilor Dex stood up slowly. The Krex Empire accepts these terms. One by one, the other council members voiced their agreement. They did not really have a choice. Humanity was offering partnership, but the alternative was the fate of the Andromeds. After the session ended, Elena walked to her old office. It looked exactly the same. Simple desk, plain chairs, picture of Earth on the wall. Nothing had changed except the understanding of what that simplicity represented. She activated her communication device. Admiral Chun's face appeared on the screen. How did the council react to our proposal? Admiral Chun asked. Complete acceptance, Elena replied. No one wants to test our resolve. The Andromedan example was very persuasive. Good. Are you comfortable returning to diplomatic duties? Elena smiled. Of course. I always preferred negotiation to warfare. It is much more civilized. Agreed. Though I admit, our brief war was quite effective. The galaxy will not soon forget what happens when someone kills our civilians. Elena nodded. That was the point. For 3 centuries, we maintained peace through patience and restraint. Now we maintain peace through strength and the memory of what that strength can accomplish. She looked out her window at the gardens below. Alien families walked among the flowers again. Children from different species played together. The peaceful scene had returned, but now the aliens watched human children with new awareness. These were not just innocent youngsters playing games. They were the protected offspring of the galaxy's apex predators. And everyone had seen what happened to those who threatened them. A young Krex child ran past the window, laughing as he chased a ball. A human child joined the game, and soon they were playing together. The sight made Elena's smile dot, This was what humanity had always wanted. Peaceful cooperation between species. Children playing together without fear. Trade and technology shared for mutual benefit. The only difference was that now everyone understood the true nature of human peace. It was not the weakness of those unable to fight. It was the choice of those who could destroy everything, but preferred to nurture it instead. Elena turned back to her desk and began reviewing trade proposals. There was much work to be done. Peace was more difficult to maintain than war, but infinitely more